Welcome along, guys. Well, this is it. This is part 2 of my ZX-6R review. I've done a part 1 to this bike. If you haven't seen it, check it up there. But this is part 2. The bike is now fully running. So it's time for some beans and my final thoughts. Final thoughts and beans. Let's go. So, as I say, I've had this bike for 10 days now. She's back to wheels tomorrow. They're coming to collect her and drop me off something else. It's great, this, working with wheels, I tell you. I tell they, I love it. Before this bike came, it was a bike I was really interested in trying out. I think the 600 class is a fantastic class for a road bike. It's a great size. I was a little bit worried that, you know, I'm a big guy, I'm 6'2", the bike is physically quite big, and later on when I get home I'll push out my GSXR 1000 and we'll compare the size of the two bikes, because it looks like a physically big bike. It's not a tiny little bike, which what you'd think a 600 would be. So that was the first thing which attracted me to this, because I love middleweights, but middleweight bikes are normally very small. Like the Street Triple is a small bike. All of those, but the MT-09 is a relatively small bike. The 790 Duke is a small bike. I'm a big guy. I don't want to look like a gorilla riding a pit bike. And I think for the road, you know, you don't need 1000cc power for the road. You really don't. Before I rode this, I thought 600s, they're normally very weak mid-range. You know, it's not going to have enough pull. It's going to be frustrating to ride on the road because you're going to be constantly having to knock it down into the power. But I couldn't have been more wrong. The amount of bottom end this bike has got and mid-range this bike has got, it's absolutely fine. I think the reason for that is Kawasaki have been sensible. They've geared this down for this year. So they've put a smaller front sprocket on, basically, to give a bit more mid-range, a bit more punch. Fantastic move. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you my top 5 things I like about this bike and my top 5 things, criticisms of this bike. But I can tell you overall as a package, and we got ourselves a white van, overall as a package, it's incredible. And for 9.5 grand, perhaps even cheaper, if you watch this review, it's a bargain, absolute bargain. As I mentioned before, I don't want to cover ground which I've already mentioned, but there's no real compromises with this. The brakes are fantastic, 310mm discs with 2 4-port Nissan calipers. There's so much feel to these brakes. There's a Nissan master cylinder as well, but there's hardly any movement. You just, you know, as soon as you touch the brakes, they're progressive, they start to bite. They're fantastic. I've ridden bikes equipped with M50 Brembos that don't brake as well as this thing. One thing which I have noticed is the throttle is a little bit snatchy. Now this bike actually isn't ride-by-wire. You've got conventional throttle cables connected to the butterflies, and it's a really nice feeling throttle. You know, it's got a bit of resistance to it. It's not like a lot of these new ride-by-wire throttles that just, you've got nothing there. You're opening it up and it feels like you're just twisting a grip. You know, there's no feel with the engine, but this, because you've got a cable, you've got that feel, which I really like. The handling, absolutely sublime. That suspension, those new Showa forks are incredibly good. These are big piston Showas, but what they've done with these is they've got the preload adjustment all in one fork leg. Rather than having your preload in both forks, there's just all the preloads on this side, and this fork does your rebound adjustment and your compression adjustment. So you've got all the adjustment in the right fork, preload in the left, which is different. I've not seen that before. The bike is so racy. One of my few criticisms is it's a little bit cramped for a larger rider. So say I'm 6'2", I do get a bit of weight on my wrists with this. I don't think I could tour on this bike. There's a bit to your full even riding the back lanes with a bit of throttle. I've still got weight on my wrists. No blipper. That's the only thing it's really missing, is a blipper to complete the package. Try not to cut the corner too much. Gotta obey those rules. A little bit down around here. These S22 tyres are also incredible. Even in these conditions where I've been out and it's been a little bit damp, a little bit wet, absolutely no moments with them at all. For a 600, it's an absolute missile. It's more than enough for the road. It's absolutely all that you need. I've even been considering getting rid of my GSXR. It's just so stable. Got plenty of room here. Let's get it on a little straighter bit and just give it some beans with the first couple of gears. Ready? On your marks. Let's give it some beans. How can it be a 600? How can it be? So let's do the chug test. I'm going to do 20 mile hour to 60, and we time it and we compare this to other bikes. I know gearing's different on other bikes, but it gives you a bit of an idea. 20, oh, 20, 20, go, full fold. 60. And we'll do that comparison on other bikes, and to give us an idea of the chug test. But that's pretty good, isn't it? For a 600 tuned for mental top end, that's an impressive amount of torque. Practical things like mirrors, absolutely fantastic. What is also nice is they fold up as well. So for filtering, it's perfect. Just being able to pull them in like that. So yeah, practical things with this bike are also fantastic, as well as the performance. Oh yeah. Like the performance, though I do. Top 5 things with this bike, in no particular order, because I couldn't really try and decide on a top 5, but top 5 in no particular order. First of all, the suspension. Incredible suspension. Despite this being a bike at 9.5 grand, the suspension feels like a real premium bike. The bump management is lovely, no harshness over any sort of potholes, glides over it, and you put some corners at it, a bumpy section of road, it just stays composed. So the suspension, absolutely fantastic, fully adjustable, Sherra suspension front and back, top suspension. Second thing is quick shifter, very good system. 4th gear, full throttle. Very smooth, really nice. Even when the bike is stone cold, you can still use the quick shifter. From first to second, it can be a little bit of a delay between first to second sometimes, but it's a great system. Number 3 on the top 5 is the fit and finish of the bike. The quality of the bike is just incredible. I mean, the plastics are good, the paint finish is good, all the bolts and fixings look high quality. Yeah, fit and finish for a sub 10k bike is excellent. The other thing which I love in my top 5 is the brakes. The brakes are amazing. Normally there's a bit of cost cutting goes on with the brakes in this sort of price range, but oh, look at that, they're so good. And of course you've got ABS, there's no IMU, just conventional ABS and traction, but they're fantastic. And the final thing in the top 5, which I think you might have worked out, is the price. The price of this bike, £9,500, brand spanking new. That's an amazing price when you think the 1000cc bikes are sort of between 13 and 15 grand for the basic ones. 9.5 grand, incredible value when I can't see any compromises on quality apart from the blipper, which it doesn't have. I can't see any other cost cutting on this bike. They've delivered an amazing package for 9.5 grand, and it's a bike that wasn't really on my radar of ever thinking I would want to own, but I tell you, I love this little thing. And if I didn't want to spend big money and have brilliant Sunday morning thrills, this is fantastic. Okay, so what's on the bad list? What's the top 5 things I don't like about this bike? First of all, and you've probably guessed it, there's no blipper. I wish you had a blipper. I wouldn't mind paying, you know, an optional extra as a blipper. Make it an option, but give an option for a blipper, Kawasaki, because this would be the ultimate Sunday morning thrash machine if it had a blipper. After coming off a bike with a blipper, I realised that they're such good fun, a blipper. I love them. Another bad point, as I mentioned, the slightly snatchy throttle. Get it in the mid-range. It's that little bit of a kick like that. It's hard to be smooth. See that I'm being quite gentle with the throttle inputs, but it's a bit snatchy. All bikes are like that now. You know, it's how they meet emissions. They make them lean in certain areas, and that is the outcome basically. But it's better than a lot of bikes, better than most, not as good as some, but sits in the middle somewhere. Other thing which I don't like, or it's in the bad list anyway, there doesn't seem to be a great deal of wind protection from that screen. Get a lot of air still hitting the helmet. You're not in a bubble of calm by any means. I think I'd have to get some sort of double bubble screen on there. Certainly if you want to do any miles on it, you'd have to do that. It doesn't offer much protection as standard, but it's okay, it's not a deal breaker. It's something to be aware of again. And my final bad point is the position. The position is great for gunning it with racy feel, but in town there's quite a lot of weight on your wrists. The bars are very close to your knees. It could be my size. I'm 6'2", and I think this is the only thing which would really put me off buying this bike. Is it is a bit cramped if you're 6 foot plus. It's not. I could put up with it, depending what I wanted to do with the bike. If I just wanted the bike to come out on a Sunday and chuck some corners at it and get my speed fix, then fine, I could put up with it. But I wouldn't be able to do any sort of touring on it. It's way too cramped to do any serious mileages on. This has also got a cassette type gearbox, a bit like the old Fireblade used to have, whereby you could take the side casing off the engine and the whole gearbox will slide out the side. It's for racing, so you could quickly change the gearing for different tracks. But I think it's great that if you ever get any gearbox problems, you can just slide the whole gearbox. You don't have to take the engine, break the engine apart to get to the gearbox. You just slide the whole thing out and change the gear ratios, and that is just the racing heritage this bike and this engine has. That comes from its racing days, and I love that. So there we go, the ZX-6R. It's a bike which has really impressed me. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. As soon as I sat on it and started it and just saw that it's got that Japanese quality to it. You know, that running quality. I'm not talking about fixtures and fittings so much, I'm talking about the way it works. Finding neutral first time every time. Starting it up just sounds like a little sewing machine. Clutch, the way the clutch feels, the throttle response, it just rides beautifully. And I do love that about Japanese bikes. They just all work lovely. If you're interested in one of these, go check out Wheels Motorcycles in Peterborough. They do national delivery, and they've also offered me and you guys a fantastic deal. If you go in to see them and say that Lambchop sent you, they will do you £500 off the ZX-6R. £500 off if you say Chop sent you. So that would put this bike at 9 grand on the nose for a brand new bike of this calibre and fun. It's incredible. So go see Wheels Motorcycles. That deal will run until the end of April, so if you're watching this video after April, Sorry guys, that deal's expired, but if you're not and you want one of these, get your asses down there. National delivery. Pick yourself up an absolute peach of a 600. See you later guys. This is power level 1, which is full power. Jesus. Go! Look at this. Oh, it's bad boy. Dickhead, man. This thing is absolutely bonkers. It's also pretty quick. Yeah, right. Never mind getting beat up. Give me this any day of the week.
There you go guys, as promised, there's the two bikes together, my GSXR and the ZX-6. You can see there's really not a great deal of difference in the size of them from just a bulk perspective, you know, physical size of the bikes. Even width wise, the GSXR, the ZXR is still a wide bike. You know, it's not even really slimmer than the GSXR. So it just goes to show, you know, you can, if you're a larger guy, you can ride a 600 and not look like a gorilla on a pit bike. Also, it's interesting to know when you've gone side by side like that, you can see the screen on the ZXR is not as high as the GSXR. I think that's why I'm getting a bit more wind on my helmet on this, because the screen's a little bit lower. Also, you can see the clip-ons are down lower and forward more slightly than the GSXR, which I think is why it's slightly more cramped feeling. But I love it actually. Looking at it there next to the GSXR, I really like the styling of it. What a great bike.